Welcome to your fresh news about RTS games, and let's start with a totally new one titled Panzer Strike, which brings back the retro aesthetics of sprite-based graphics. It is in early development, but the developers wanted me to share this footage with you all, and its Steam store page is down in the description. As you can see, Panzer Strike is going to be a World War II top-down isometric game with large-scale battles and lots of available tactics to use. It is planned to have both single-player and multiplayer up to 12 players, with Germany and the Soviet Union as the two warring factions. These developers announced a demo coming in a few months, while the full version will have a built-in map editor and modding tools. Here we have only tanks in combat, but Panzer Strike will feature 7 types of infantry and over 40 types of vehicles. I would suggest wishlisting this one right now, and while you're on Steam, you might want to download not 1, but 2 open playtests of some of the best upcoming RTS games. First, the IMMORTAL Gates of Pyre, playtest of which is starting on November 22nd and lasting throughout the weekend. It is going to be open for us all with skill-based matchmaking. The units in this newcomer-friendly fantasy RTS have received their new voices, while the game's UI has been changed, and in the main hub, new IMMORTAL 3D models have been added for your viewing pleasure. As its name describes, you get to command Immortals, superior beings with immense powers, which they can use directly on the battlefield. The build assist function is something really unique here, allowing your base to expand and produce units automatically while you're microing your army and taking over the map from your opponent one resource node at a time. IMMORTAL Gates of Pyre even features creep camps and units. A link is in the description for this and all the other games I will show you in this video. This has truly been an incredible month for RTS games, my fellow fans, and still is in fact. I have some totally fresh games to present to you, and don't worry, I will also mention the best deals for already released games you can buy right now. So not only did we get to play many betas and playtests of newest games, but some are still active or just coming online, like the demo/playtest of ZeroSpace, open this same weekend from the 22nd to the 24th of November. This fast-paced and sci-fi themed game uses some familiar concepts from older games of the genre, but also tries to bring in a lot of new concepts, like experience generating towers, mercenaries, a combined ability card, queuing up structures and units without being charged in advance, and more. In this demo/playtest, you will be able to join in on many types of multiplayer modes or go on your own into solo ones like Skirmish vs AI with 5 difficulty levels. There will be 1v1 and 2v2 PvP matchmaking, free for all matches. You can try out the co-op missions, level up your commanders, and be part of the Galactic Warfare gameplay mode in solo, co-op, and matchmaking with Planet Conquest for added bonuses. On top of it all, the developers have prepared the 2-player co-op survival gameplay mode, in which you fight up to 10 waves of hordes with over 1 hour of gameplay, including day and night cycles. Now, before I go on telling you how much I enjoyed the betas and playtests of newest RTS games that have been concluded or are still going, let me first show you another totally new game I have found. This one is called WarOS, and the space science fiction setting is used to create real-time strategy warfare between spaceships and all sorts of infantry and vehicles on platforms in orbit of planets. There will be production and modification of weapons and equipment with modules of all sorts. The main idea is that you build, pilot and command your own stations, crew them while getting resources from mining. As for assembling warships, you can install different types of weapon stations directly on them and see their effects in combat. Your crew's skills will be a sort of multiplier when they use weapons and equipment. It is a mix of a lot of concepts, so it will be interesting to see how it will play out.
Reckon the enemy was ready for us. not ready enough.
And one game we already know how it plays is Tempest Rising, because of the 2 previous single-player demos, and some of us are now closed beta players. We are under NDA and can't share any details about this latest version, but the developers allowed me to say this much. It is very good. Playing versus other experienced players is amazing, and we are all having fun and enjoying it. Details that are known publicly is that this closed multiplayer beta includes an online multiplayer mode with ranked and unranked matchmaking, skirmish mode versus the AI with 3 difficulty levels on 3 maps. The main 2 factions, Global Defense Force and Tempest Dynasty, have all types of units, and there is a 3rd faction expected to show up in the full version. Will this game be released in 2025? That is still up in the air, and its release date is still just coming soon. There was a lot happening with its publisher, but at least we can be confident that the team working on it is full of professionals who listen to their audience and work tirelessly to bring this game, which by my estimate might just bring the RTS genre back on its throne. The other major RTS game, which is already incredibly popular judging by the tens if not hundreds of thousands of players enjoying its open beta, is Broken Arrow. I know some of you don't consider real-time tactical games as part of the RTS genre because they don't have base building, but honestly, I do, and even if I didn't, I would still not spare words of praise on it and its developers. I have played many matches in its demo, alpha and betas, and have seen both its great progress and potential. Sure, there is still rough edges, and people have already started to use hacks to cheat in its multiplayer, but that just goes to show you how much effort they are willing to expend on it. The new army specializations are the airborne for the US faction and the coastal troops for the Russian faction. Broken Arrow's release date is another case of moving the goalposts, but with good reason, and I can just say it will be worth waiting for its full release, no matter how long it takes. I will post a full video with my impressions and experiences of its open beta and link it up here on the right and down in the description. As you might notice, I don't go into too many gameplay details or the specifics of these already popular and familiar games, and that is because I have already made many videos on them. So if you want to learn more about them, use the links in the description where you can find my playlists and my individual videos about these games. As for more fresh games, I have come across an almost stronghold-like medieval strategy castle builder, which appears to have large-scale army combat. The only thing that makes me apprehensive about Age of Respair is the way base building is shown to be just popping buildings into existence, like it's done on cheap mobile games. This is very similar to how it works in Dinolords, another medieval builder with army combat, but just with an added twist of having dinosaurs in it. So when I see stuff like that in what should be a more reputable PC game, my spidey sense starts to warn me to be cautious. At the end of the day, that is why I put the links to these games in the description, so that you can be the judge of their potential and check them out for yourselves. In any case, both of these games are focused on single-player experience. Their gameplay loop is to gather resources, build up your town and castle, train units, protect your king, and break down the AI's towns and tear down his walls. In Dinolords, you get to use the T-Rex for this, while in the Age of Respair, the trusty old trebuchet. Now for some much more serious and massive scale RTS games in the making. You probably know both of them, but I have lots of new footage and info to share with you in this video. I will start with Sanctuary Shattered Sun and its pre-alpha version, which has been extensively updated since the last time I showcased it. There are now 4 maps to play on. Many audio and visual effects have been improved, including waves on water. A lot of bugs have been crushed, and the in-game menu has a lot more options. People who are supporting this game's development on Patreon are getting the next version, the beta, which is the version that will keep getting updates. The Kickstarter campaign for Sanctuary Shattered Sun will be coming soon too, and with it, a new demo of the game for all to try out. Until then, I will make sure to post more videos about it and add them to my Sanctuary playlist, which is linked up here on the right and down in the description. Another upcoming RTS with similarly massive scale but much more involved base building and production is Industrial Annihilation, whose developers have posted a lot of new gameplay clips. And what makes me really happy to see are the advanced commands for units, like drawing out their movement orders just like we can already do in Beyond All Reason. If these developers have taken a page out of their book, oh man, this is going to be amazing. But what will definitely set Industrial Annihilation apart from BAR is the way resources aren't just pooled globally, but moved in visible amounts and stockpiled in warehouses after being extracted or refined. From there, they are sent out on these tiny conveyor belts to production buildings where units are made out of those resources. What might be a step too far is that even turrets are fed shells like this. Power is similarly stockpiled using batteries, and there will probably be several ways to generate it. Interestingly enough, even shields are already in the game, but at least the power seems to be transmitted wirelessly in this game's universe. Do let me know what you think. Will all this be too convoluted for your taste, or is this exactly the type of game you're looking forward to? Now let's take a look at what is on sale. At Steam, you have a good deal on Iron Harvest, the mechanized RTS set in the alternate dieselpunk reality of 1920, which plays similar to Company of Heroes, and it has been somewhat ironed out by all the patches. A Dune game, which is a mix of RTS and 4X, is also on sale at Steam, along with some of its DLCs, which bring a lot of extra content rich with lore. Fans of the Dune universe should really not skip this one. Another RTS which has received a ton of updates is Stellar Warfare, which offers several game modes, ship customization, and complete 3D space movement, while keeping the old features of economy building, base construction, and even capturing enemy ones. A true old school game, which is one of my all-time favorites, is Majesty, and its Gold HD version is also on sale. It takes away direct unit control, but gives you an incredible world to experience and tame using heroes, bounties, and your wits. On GoG, there are also a few titles on sale, and of those I want to recommend Sudden Strike 4, which might be more about tactics on battlefields of World War II, but it gives you over 100 different units of many factions to play with. If you want a modern setting or even a partially sci-fi setting, then you should look into 8-bit Armies and 8-bit Invaders, which are both on sale. They might be blocky looking, but they are also retro and good where it counts in their gameplay. And in case you don't already own Manor Lords, I suggest you get it DRM free on GoG. It is by far the most amazing indie-made game that blends city building and real-time medieval army combat, now with a new map and mods. Those were already released games, so let's go back to new and upcoming ones. Atre Dominance Wars is one such game which itself isn't purely RTS, but it's worth your notice. It will have several worlds of different races, spellcasting, garrison troops, and thrones to keep or tear down. Speaking of thrones, and after mentioning Majesty, I'm happy to announce that Crown of Greed, its spiritual successor, is going to have a playtest for which you can apply right now on the game's Steam store page. Here you must face dark forces of fearless undead, bloodthirsty beasts, and gigantic devils in defense of your medieval fantasy throne while building up your town, recruiting defenders of all sorts, and offering contracts to the rest to try and survive. If you manage to get your small kingdom to flourish despite the onslaught of enemies, you can use gold to purchase upgrades for your heroes and help them fight off those biggest monsters biding their time behind the fog of war. If you are more of a space game fan, Annihilate the Spance will have you covered in January of 2025 when it launches into early access with a single player campaign, a level editor, and 10 skirmish maps to obliterate other players on using massive fleets of ships. There are 3 factions to play with, each with their unique look and ship designs, featuring many classes of ships and as many weapon systems with which they blast each other apart. Here your base grows with your shipbuilding platforms, and they constantly produce new ships you throw at the enemies, but you have to be quick to change your fleet's composition if you see the enemies successfully countering them. It is another game where your macro play with economy and base building is at the forefront, while combat is more about directing your ships throughout the maps rather than microing them individually. I hope you will at least play its demo and check out if you like this type of gameplay. If, however, you want to play a more old school, true to the core of RTS games, then Red Chaos The Strict Order will not disappoint you. The newest updates the developers have shared with me include a tutorial they have set up to teach you how to play their indie game, which will be playable in multiplayer with ranked play, where you will be able to chat with your allies and enemies while you enjoy the vehicle combat on tight maps with walls which you can build at your base along with turrets of several types. I should also mention that they have found a publisher for their game, and your first opportunity to try Red Chaos might come as early as this December with a demo coming to Steam. Full release should follow that, but in 2025. And after playing it myself a couple of times already in various stages of development, I think the game is shaping up wonderfully. In case you want to play something like this and new right now, you can, as this already released in the RTS is called Rogue Command, but it spiced up the regular base building and unit combat gameplay with a deck building system and on-map hazards. Don't worry, it is not intrusive or crucial, but helps to remove some of the problems of old school RTS games where you would repeat the same building and unit recruitment over and over again in each mission, by making your roster of units more varied and different in new missions. It is more sci-fi, but with a mix of familiar units and those that would definitely look out of place on a modern battlefield, with the inclusion of powerful specialists. Harvesting resources across the map is a core feature here, as is calling down orbital strikes, since I know most of you like your super weapons to be present in RTS games. Now, for all you retro game lovers, here is one that is new and far in development, with the latest footage sent to me directly by the talented indie dev. It is called Dying Breed, and while before I showed you a lot of unit combat, now I have base building, resource collection, unit recruitment and map exploration clips. The awesome soundtrack and appropriate unit voice lines complement the retro look perfectly, while all the base building and unit construction is managed from the right side of the UI. Most of the buildings on the maps are actually destructible. What is probably the biggest surprise are underground maps, accessible right there from the regular ones. In the dark, you will run into monsters that look like they came from Dune itself, but they can also come up to the surface and eat your units. There are all sorts of vehicles and also lone commando missions, which I have shown you before in my dedicated video, which is linked up here on the right and down in the description. Another game which I have shown on my channel many times and played a lot of it is Diplomacy is Not an Option, which just got the playable Undead faction. This medieval fantasy builder already supports several factions and massive battles, but now you can beat the monsters coming to eat brains. This update even added a new story branch and extra missions into the campaign, which is the main feature of its full release version. Interestingly enough, the Undead faction has no walls to construct and can only construct other buildings on defiled soil terrain type. What makes up for that is the special unit which raises zombies out of dead enemies, which you can use to create more powerful undead units out of them or recycle them into bones. Honestly folks, if you haven't already played this game, you're sleeping on a fun indie gem which is on sale by the way right now on Steam. In one of my previous videos, I showcased for the first time this totally new RTS in development titled Fungal Front, and now I have an update for you with new footage straight from the developers. They have updated their UI to make everything more clear to the player, enhance the look of the terrain and its features, given the Terra Guardian the ability to call in an airstrike which deals area of effect damage, and health power-ups were implemented as a mechanic of healing units. On top of that, this future indie sci-fi RTS of humans vs sentient fungus received a new unit called the Mantalisk, which fights in melee mode and can stun enemies using a psychedelic enlightenment ability, which makes it easier for it to run them down and smash them into paste. The hover tank received an upgrade, making it better in combat too. Last game on this video is Darfall, which is one of those new Majesty-like games, with its focus on city building and heroes, along with a lot of survival combat. Other features include RPG progression for your hero, be he a wizard or a warrior, there is a loot to find, abilities to unlock, and lots of fortifications for your city. The undead hordes are the ones that you will be fighting against in both the single-player campaign and individual missions. During the day, you build and recruit units, while it is at night that your defenses are tested. And you can test this game right now, as it has a demo up on its Steam store page. The full game will have an in-game editor and will let you create maps, quests, and even whole scripted campaigns. As this has been an incredibly busy month for RTS games, I actually have twice as many updates and new RTS games to show you, which I will do next week in another video like this one. Until then, use the cards on the screen or the links in the description for more games. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!